Once the margarine got softened, which it hadn't been softened completely when I did the first recording, once the margarine got softened, these really went together fast. Even better, because of the small pan, instead of baking for 25 to 35 minutes like it says in the recipe, these actually baked for like, I think 15 minutes. You've already seen them. They still have their little wax paper jackets on. It actually peels off really easily. The one thing that's a little weird is, obviously they weren't on the sides, they were touching the pan, so that got browned. On the bottom, they're light because they were touching the wax paper, so they didn't get a chance to brown. I'm not gonna worry about that. They're not the most attractive things when you really come down to it. I'm considering maybe putting a powdered sugar glaze over the top, just so that they look a little bit better. But I'm not into this for the looks. I'm into these for the taste. So here we go. Let's see how they are. The sponge turned out really well. It's really soft, really springy when I touched it in the oven. The crumb, I really need to figure out how to do this, don't I? The crumb is really nice. You can see it's very flaky. Well, I don't know about flaky. It's very cakey, spongy, really light. I shouldn't be too surprised. I make this recipe periodically. This is the way it's supposed to turn out. One thing I did, because of the size of the pan, that is a little different. Sorry. Usually when you're doing a thicker pan, you actually put down half the cake batter, and then you sprinkle some of the streusel over that, and then the second half of the cake batter. That way it's kind of layered in between, and then you put it on top as well. With these, because of how narrow they were, I actually only put it on the top. So the taste is still good, because obviously if you're using a fork to break through it, you're going to go straight through it. It's not that deep. But there's not a lot of flavor to the cake itself. It's just a yellow sponge. All the flavor is in the top. And I have to admit, the top is really good. I did do a second batch. I had planned to, since I doubled it, so that I could do 2 batches. That'll give me 23 of these to take to work. But the second batch I actually did put raisins in. Raisins or nuts are listed as optional in the streusel. When I was growing up, I think she almost always did raisins. She frequently did both. I don't bake with raisins a lot. There are some specific things that I make that I use raisins in all the time, but they're not something I just throw into everything. I'm not an oatmeal raisin cookie person. Don't try to get me to go there. But these, there's something about having the raisin in them. It gives them a little bit of extra sweet, a little bit of extra chew, which is kind of nice. So we'll see how that second batch turns out. I did put a pan underneath these in the oven, because due to the small pan and the small sides of the pan, as they puffed up, the brown sugar and cinnamon started to ooze over. It started to drip. I could tell it was going to, so I shoved a pan under it really quick. And I got like 3 big drips on it. So no problem. But if you're doing these in a regular 9x13 pan or a 9x9 pan, if you're doing a single batch, you shouldn't have that problem. It should all stay pretty much in the pan. So there we go. I did pour myself a glass of milk. I'm not planning to dunk, but I knew I'd need something, and I suppose coffee would have gone with coffee cake, but I don't drink coffee. So there we go. Nice little streusel coffee cake in little individual pieces. And even better, because I was paying attention to them, they didn't overbake, they didn't get too dry. Even in the small pan, they still turned out really well. So I have to thank my sister Heather for the pan once again. And I will see you in a week.